Well, we talked about Saquon and Josh Jacobs, unless you have more to say. I mean, with Saquon, everybody's arguing that there's more space in this offense, but there also is volume competition. It's not like they're going to turn around and give the ball to Saquon 30 times with all of the mouths they have to feed, obviously through the air. And I know, obviously this is a team that's probably not done adding at running back because they have a lot of draft picks as well.
Yeah, and the other concern here is honestly touchdowns. Like, it's a much better offense. They'll be in scoring position more often. But again, Jalen Hurts is, again, you don't sign Saquon to this contract to use him as a decoy, but the starting running back for the Philadelphia Eagles is always going to have, as long as Jalen Hurts is the quarterback, is always going to have less rushing touchdowns and less rushing touchdown opportunities than a normal running back would be. And so, yes, it's a great offensive line. Does he get – the other question is will Saquon get the massive passing volume that he has generally gotten with the Giants over the years? Because Hurts, for the most part, hasn't been that big of a check down guy. Now, Saquon's a different animal in terms of his ability in space and to catch the ball, and I would assume that Nick Sirianni and Kellen Moore will want to use, Saquon's pass catching ability more than they did with DeAndre Swift, weirdly, who's also a good pass catcher.
Well, that's the problem, right? Right. DeAndre Swift, everyone's like, well, he's going to get receiving usage, and he doesn't. Hurts just doesn't check down. It's not part of his game, like you mentioned. And I worried a little bit with Saquon. I think there was the idea that 2 years ago when he has his big comeback season and the Giants make the playoffs and win a playoff game that he's back to the guy that he was in his rookie season. I don't think so. I don't think he's as quick as he was back then. He doesn't look physically to me the same guy. His yards after contact, he's been a very good running back the past 2 years, but he hasn't been the guy who looked like he was going to be in his rookie season. I think the idea that we have of what Bijan Robinson could still be. So I'm not sure. And also lose Jason Kelce. This is a better situation for Saquon, but I don't think he's going to be the best running back in the league type of thing.
Well, I think the argument too is as we look at Josh Jacobs that you're more excited about that transition because Green Bay under Matt LaFleur, they run the heck out of the football. They develop offensive linemen. And the fact is that backfield with A.J. Dillon still in free agency, Aaron Jones gone to the Vikings. I mean, it's Josh Jacobs right now.
The Packers as a team last year averaged over 25 running back touches a game. And if you look closely at sort of how that contract is, it's basically he got, I think, $12 million to sign. And after that, the team can get out of it. So in essence, it's basically a 1-year deal that's guaranteed. So my point is that the Packers aren't going to be like, listen, we got to make, we're locked into Josh for the next 3 seasons, so they can easily give him 330 carries or touches this year and not worry about it, right? And so again, better offensive line, better offense. Again, they want to be balanced on offense. LaFleur has traditionally been, kind of a balanced coach. Jordan Love gives them, a nice boost offensively, if you will, as well. But if you can be better in the red zone, right? Packers 27th in red zone rush rate last season. It gives them an option in the red zone, right? So all of a sudden now you've got a guy that's good around the goal line that can finish, that's going to get a lot of work. He's a good pass catcher as well. They certainly used, Jones somewhat in the passing game, even Dillon sometimes as well. So I think that, to your point, he was running back 18 in points per game last year. I think Josh Jacobs is now back to being an RB1 because that backfield is entirely his on a pretty good offense.
Yep. Also think he's just better than Saquon. I think he's a better running back at this stage of his career. He's a couple years younger. And I think that for whatever reason, we don't think of Jacobs he's just not talked about in the same breath as guys like McCaffrey and Derrick Henry, who doesn't have the pedigree of Saquon Barkley. He's not as big Jonathan Taylor, but he won the rushing title 2 years ago. He was the number 1 running back by PFF that year. Yeah. His rookie season, he was the number 2 running back by PFF. He's an absolute monster, and he's been able to do this without much of an offensive line, without a great quarterback situation for the most part. I think Jordan Love, the level that he showed towards the end of last season is a higher level than Derek Carr ever showed in Vegas. So I think that, it all lines up amazingly. Obviously, they play in Green Bay, so it's not like a dome where you're going to be throwing the ball a ton necessarily. So I think it all lines up pretty well for
think about their playoff game. Think about their playoff game against both San Francisco and Dallas, the Packers. Yeah. Aaron Jones, just how effective they were at running the ball. And now you have somebody in Josh Jacobs who, to your point, he's going to get a massive workload. Again, they average basically 26 running back touches per game, and so they'll probably draft somebody, or maybe they'll sign a second-tier free agent. But the money here and the fact that both Jones and Dillon are gone, doesn't look like Dillon's coming back. tells you this is massive workload for a talented running back on a very good offense.
And I think you would really like the touchdown equity, and the same can probably be said for Joe Mixon, who got traded to the Texans, where we know this team can drop back, Jay, and throw the heck out of the football with C.J. Stroud. But at the end of the day, there's going to be more red zone opportunities for a guy like Mixon to really punch in, especially after a really down second year for Damien Pierce.
Yeah, definitely. And I think we think of the Houston running back situation, it was just a little bit clouded because it was Pierce initially and then it was Singletary, but Singletary's never going to be an absolute workhorse guy. Like if Mixon can come in there and get 70-75% of the carries with what he's shown with, a relatively young offensive line that was really injured all of last season and should get better. I mean, Mixon, he's not going to be anyone that no one's going to be super excited to draft Joe Mixon, but in that offense, he could absolutely end up as a top 5-7 running back.
Week 9 on, Devin Singletary had a 70% snap rate, and I think that's the role that Joe Mixon is coming into. I mean, so, the fact of the matter is that Joe Mixon has never been super efficient. He's been very volume-based. Like his fantasy production has been based on the fact that he is volume-based, and he's actually been, a bigger part of the passing game than he gets credit for. He's had 2 different back-to-back seasons now with over 50 receptions. So the fact of the matter is that Mixon goes to a very good offense where he's going to get the majority of the work. And so I'm with you, Jay. It's like no one's going to be like, give me Joe Mixon. Like in draft rooms, you're going to be like, damn, all right. Fine, Joe Mixon. But he's going to out-earn ADP. He will just it's not going to be fun or sexy or exciting to roster him, but he will produce because that offense is going to produce. And again, with Bobby Slowick back, and knowing how important the run game is to him, how important it was in San Francisco, how important it was to Houston last year, and they just could never get it going. Like to have somebody that's in Joe Mixon who's solid, you feel pretty good about that fantasy-wise. And he'll be an upgrade over Pierce and Singletary. I'm not the biggest Joe Mixon fan, but he'll be an upgrade over Pierce and Singletary.
Also, Mixon is only 27. It feels like he's 30. He's one of those guys, like Marcus Davenport is only 27. Feels like he's been in the league for 10 years.
Young first-round picks.
So Mixon, he should still have some tread on the tires, so to speak, and with that offense should be a lot of opportunity.
I wrote my 25 most interesting things I heard at the Combine. Got some stuff right. Saquon not back with the Chargers. Eckler not back with the. Saquon not back with the Giants. Thank you. Eckler not back with the Chargers. But Joe Mixon I sort of got right because I said they were going to release him, and I'd said I'd heard a rumor that they were going to release him, and then got reported that he was getting released, and then all of a sudden plot twist he gets traded to Houston. So I don't know if I get to count that fully as a win.
You can claim that. That's less suspect than some of your other claimed victories.
Yeah, on the Matthew Berry scale of journalism or not journalism, this one's completely fine.
But I'm not saying that I broke a story that I reported. I'm still annoyed at the aggregators because, again, they were like, Berry reported this as news. And I'm like, I didn't report it. I'm not saying it's news. I'm saying I heard a rumor he's going to get released. Ends up becoming right. But, I'm not a reporter. Because there are actually good reporters, I don't want anyone to call me a reporter because I'm not. I am not a journalist.
NFL insider?
Yeah, I'm not even an insider. No,
I'm
a guy who knows people.
Only when you're right, you're a reporter. It's a good little niche you've carved out.
Yeah, it is.
I guess so.
This one hit.
The great thing is not only do the aggregators take it and run with it in an excessive way, but the other thing is that then everyone argued with them. Berry's a moron. Mixon, they say this every year about Mixon. He's not going anywhere, blah, 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 blah. And so... Anyway, I got it from both sides there. But the fact of the matter is the rumor was the Bengals wanted to move on from Joe Mixon. They did, in fact, that's what I wrote. They did, in fact, move on from Joe Mixon. Thank you. I will claim it as a victory. What I did not see coming, that I didn't have anywhere in the article, was Zack Moss going to the Bengals to replace him. So Zack Moss is now lead of the Cincinnati Bengals.
Is he definitely going to be the starter?
No.
You think it's him and Chase Brown?
Him and Chase Brown will battle it out. And it's a perfect balance for a coaching staff, right? Zack Moss now is a reliable veteran at this point. I know that happens really quick because it felt like last year was the first year we really talked about him, but he's proven that you could lean on him. Chase Brown is way more explosive,
of course,
way more exciting, but we know coaches lean on reliable guys. So Chase Brown needs to prove in camp that in year 2 he's ready to be that guy.
Do you think Chase Brown is a guy that, if given the opportunity, could be a workhorse back?
Yeah, for sure.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Yep.
But listen, Moss was very productive last year. He had 6 starts last year. I think averaged over 19 touches a game, over 90 yards from scrimmage, in his starts last year. So it's an interesting signing, right? I mean, it definitely gives him some depth. 2 years, $8 million is not nothing in this running back market. I mean, that's
for sure.
Yep. Before we move off the Texans, Connor, what has happened to Damien Pierce? Because he was such a buzzy pick in fantasy last year. In his rookie season, he had
Thanks
stretches
for looking
where,
right at me on that one.
What happened
I got that one wrong. That one is like.
I liked him too.
Yeah,
we all did. That was right.
He was at one point the favorite to an offensive rookie of the year, like 2 years ago. His yards after contact, he was a monster. He almost beat the Eagles by himself, and the Eagles at the time were, I think, unbeaten or had one loss to your Commanders. But what happened to Damien Pierce? Was he just hurt last year?
It makes you wonder because he was hurt at the end of his rookie season, and he never looked right last year. You also have to wonder, did the scheme change affect him? You get a new coaching staff that didn't draft him, that said maybe this guy doesn't fit us as much as we had hoped. And he's somebody at Florida that it was always puzzling why he didn't get the ball more in Dan Mullen's team. So it
definitely felt like Singletary was a better fit for the scheme they were running.
Yes. And I think that's kind of what the signal is with them getting Mixon.
I always wonder with players like Pierce as well, where his strength is like breaking 5 different tackles and just kind of going on his own script, and where the coaches just prefer, like, oh no, Devin Singletary is going to do exactly what he's supposed to do. And he's not going to put a Superman cape on like Damien
Flow
Pierce.
with the play and hit the hole. That's going to be Joe Mixon as well. So.
Yeah. I do that a lot too.
Yeah, flow with the play and hit the hole.
Flow with the play.
Yeah. I would actually say you're more Pierce.
Yeah.
You're much more
I grind it
Pierce.
out.
You're looking to break 5 tackles.
I'm looking to break 5 tackles.
Yeah, you don't follow the blockers at all.
None whatsoever. I do my own thing. I just,
Yes.
And I disappoint. I underperform ADP.
I disappoint.
Yeah.
We didn't go that far.
Yeah, it's fine.
Damien
okay.
Pierce and Matthew Berry, we disappoint.
Yeah. Disappoint.
Tough 2023.
Yeah. Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and Rotoworld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest Roto-World fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.